Welcome to this Zentangle Quickie. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden. I'm a Certified Zentangle Teacher. And today we're going to take a look at the Tangle Qandu from CZT Theresa Fessler. All right, so before I get into it, let me somewhat explain the step outs. And links to those are in the description section. So looking at Theresa's, and that's the link under for more inspiration. Looking at Theresa's, not that it was hard to follow, but my brain works a little differently, so I laid mine out in boxes. But let me just tell you what I did. So I have, you know what? Let me do. I'll say I don't have a really cool setup where I can just do an overlay someday. All right, so let me just show you. We start off with box 1, right, and then 2, 3. This is option 1, okay, and then I show it finished. And I put this or here, so if you do step 1, this is almost like a flowchart step out. Or you could do this. So if you want to do these ones at the bottom, this is your first step always, but then slide to number 2 and do the second, and then go on from there. And then after that, there are 3 different, I'm calling them play options, and I'm hooked up on my cord. And so you have those 3. So I'm going to share all 4 ways, but I kind of wanted to explain that because I want it, and I might put a box around that or before I scan it and put it in, just because I want to make sure that, or highlight it or something, so that way I want to make sure you understand that. It's an or. These are all options, okay? All right, so we're going to get started. So starting off with a number of curved lines, and for whatever reason, I've gotten better at them, but I want to get 5 in. Usually my first one is longer than the others. What I have found to do is, number 1, not think about it too much. And then it's almost like I feel like I'm turning the tile at the same degree. My hand was staying in the same place, right? And I'm just turning a certain amount, and it seems to work. So if you have trouble with this too, just number 1, don't think about it, and just play with it. You might maybe have to practice it a number of times or something like that to get it where they're kind of sort of even, and they don't have to be even. All right, next step is we're going to put some triangles in these sections, and of course you can play with how where they're at in this section. And I did notice she kind of had it curved a little bit, and then I think she, too, I have to go back and look, I'm pretty sure she kind of aura'd the shape, so kind of a curved top, and then kind of going with the contours of the sides, and that is another completely up to you to have fun and play with. Sometimes when I'm doing that, I don't get my lines to meet up, but luckily there's no such thing as a mistake in Zentangle. And you can always go past and come back up. All right, let me get this last one. Now, one thing that I think is, maybe helpful is these first lines, the tops, it doesn't matter. It's like, it's going to look like an orb kind of, anyway. And they're so far apart from each other. Never mind. All right. So once we have this, then from all of these spokes that we did, we're going to do curved lines from the spoke, actually to both triangles. And what I found easy was to kind of go towards the middle. I mean, you can pick a place and just, as long as you get one on one side and then the other one just meets it there, so it's not really going to matter where you put them. Well, that could have had a little curve in it. And like I said, like I always say, like anyone always says in Zentangle, no such thing as a mistake. It's all going to turn out fantastic. All right, so that's one. And let me just share shading on this one since I'm on it. I did do this in the step out, but that way this one can be done. So this video might be a little longer than most, It's still a quickie. I try to keep it as no nonsense as possible. Well, some nonsense. Well, just focusing on a tangle is, versus, a whole class. Those are different. All right. So just putting some graphite on the one side of each V that we ended up creating, and it makes it kind of neat. And of course, you don't have to do it that way. You can, you could fill in or have fun with the triangle. All kinds of things that you can do. All right. All right. So that is one. All right. Next one. And part of the reason I wanted to share all of these is because they all kind of had a little bit different trick or something. I'm like, yeah, it's not just like some tangles. I'm going to go ahead and do the first step here. It's not like some tangles where, it's just you're at the play stage and there's a lot of things that you can do, and we don't necessarily need to share all of those. This one, there are some little bit tricky things. It's almost like, they're separate tangles, but not really. Okay. Once you have the first one, or the first set, so the single lines, this is course correction. So you see unevenness, and we're going to put 2 lines in. So what I do is I find, okay, this is the widest one, so therefore I'm going to put the second line on the inside, and I'm going to work my way around this way, and we'll just see where things end up. And it's like, this is thin. Okay, well, this one, I'm going to put it on this side. And I think you'll notice in my step out, and you guys will only be the only one that notices because I'm telling you, I did do that on one. I'm like, well, you're just adding a second. It doesn't matter, where. Just pick whichever side is going to fit better. And, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other on this one. Oh, but I think this looks a little bit wider. It's a little taller. And in the end, it doesn't matter. Now, something that you can do, like this one, I always start off with it way big. I'm going to use the takeoff and land concept, just make these a little bit longer. Sometimes, well, like a lot of times I usually regret doing that. Okay. Then the triangles. So the rest, the next part is pretty much the same. I'm going to try to put them down just a little bit further and kind of, tuck them in and have a nice aura around the center versus this one I had them out a little ways. Now in Teresa's step out, one of the things that I noticed on this step, she kind of divided it in 2, and you can take a look at it and see if that helps you more. She kind of drew a straight line, then it looked like there was some dots or something, like straight line, dot, dot, straight line, and but then you don't do anything with the other. So I was a little bit confused by it. But then I thought, well, you know what? On this one, we're just doing the triangle straight, and we can just do the same here. It makes it easy. But I did want to point it out because if it's something that might help you, do take a look at it. All right. So now, and then the next step, also the same, except these curved lines. We're going. Well, you can see. So because we have 2, this one is going to this side. This one is going. So the spoke closest to the triangle is where we're going to put, or where we're going to start that line from. I don't know if that made any sense because because I was like, I'm thinking and doing and what I'm thinking is, this is kind of neat when if you have these long and the triangles tucked in, it gives a little bit different shape. And that's kind of cool. Fun thing to play with. Okay. Now, this, up to this point, is going to be the same for all of the other ones. Okay? And, all right. So we're going to do, what I'm calling 5A. And for this one, I decided, this, again, is just curved lines. I decided I'm going to, coming up between these 2, so this is still like a, between the 2 spokes, and where we have this open-ended, I'm going to start sort of in the center And I'm doing a curved line down to this center. And then on the other side as well. And that is all that this one is. Well, look at how messy that is there. Okay. And then, too, taking note of things that, you might not like I didn't like that right there. So that way, when it comes to the decorating part, then you can kind of take a look back and say, all right, let me start there. And, this one creates kind of, they look like neat arrows coming out. And this one, well, let's see. Let me think on this for a minute. Well, I'm going to do it a little differently. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put some graphite coming out from the center. And when I say doing it differently, I do differently than what I put in the step out. Well, let's see. This is rather thin, and this one is a little bit thinner. And just bringing that graphite out. You could color the whole, shade the whole thing in, color the whole thing in, if you wanted to as well. Just want to get a little nice gradient there. Well, that's kind of neat. And I think, let's see. Let's just fill in these little triangles. And again, another course correction. So if you didn't like something to do with the triangles, you can fix that while you're filling it in, as long as it is, making, a side bigger, straightening something out. We just can't make it any smaller. Making the points a little bit more pointy. And it could, well, in my step out, I filled in this inside, the part that I'm leaving solid white, or natural tile color, we'll say it that way. I filled that in with the gray, and that looks kind of neat. And it's kind of fun to do something just a little bit different on here, so that way then you got a couple extra ideas. All right, let's make this come to a point, and that will be good. Whoops. And let's make this one a little bit neater. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of cool looking. All right. Okay, so that is that one. Okay, and because that all of this step is the same, I don't need to show that to you again. All right, so this one we're going to do 5B. And this one, so what's neat is you have this open area. There are, oh gosh, several other like flowery type tangles like this. Blooming butter is one. I don't know if blooming cangular, sort of. Oh, and there's another fairly new one, similar, where you're doing something, but you have this open-endedness, which is really, really cool. And the last one I'll show you. Well, actually, the last second to last box on my step out, and looking at Teresa's, she shows how you can kind of interconnect them and use this path. Okay, so this next one okay, so we're looking at this spoke, the right side of it. We're going to take this up in a curved line and have it land on on the far side of, I guess we'll call this the petal. Okay, you can see. And then on the other side, same thing, and you can kind of have them merged together if you want. I kind of like that idea. have been starting from this, which ends up being the inside curve, just because I don't know why. That's just the way I end up doing it. And so we're just doing all of these curves, just kind of, it's looping over. It has a really kind of neat effect. And sometimes I have to think about it for a minute. And this one you could somewhat employ the takeoff and land. Oh, this will be good here because it'll correct that. So that's just tracing over a little bit, like that. And you see that that's kind of cool. Let's see. This, I'm going to do this one similar to how I did that, because on my step out, I filled in this part that's looping with the gray. But I'm thinking, let's just start here. So it gives you kind of two options. And you know what? Really quick. If you don't know, if you have a tortillon that's, like this, except mine is so old and kind of mashed up, I need to be able to get this toothpick in the back here, and I don't know if I'll be able to. That's when sometimes it's like, well, just start a new one, but I don't want to. Well, let's see if this other one does better. It does. And you know what? Sometimes sometimes they just, as they get seasoned, we'll call it, so you can just push that point out, but you can also leave that in if you want to, because then I found sometimes when I push them out they get a little floppy. Ooh, that was pretty dark. That's okay. One thing, if it's darker than you expected, and this is what I'm thinking, like, well, I can just make that whole section dark and just bring it all the way out, and it'll be okay. Ooh, although when it's dark, it does make it extra dramatic. But I'm just going to bring it out maybe a little bit from that side, but not going into the little diamond there. Oh, so that looks rather neat. Okay, last one. So this will be play option 5C. This one. This is where if you did multiples, you could connect them with these, but the way she has it is just to, however you might want to end those up. Ooh, I'm going to add some curly cues because I think that would look really neat. I didn't think about that till just now. Because they were kind of looking like flames, and I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I wasn't really caring for that, but you could have this come out and end it however you want. It could be in a bulb or something, but I'm kind of liking curly cues, so that's my addition. Always feel free to add curly cues and what we call fancy fescues and whatnot. Well, I might as well do all of them if that's what I'm doing, right? Now it looks like some kind of a bug. It's a quintuple slug. Oh my gosh. Okay. And let's see, with this one, let's do these. I'm going to use what's on the tortillon, and we'll just fill these in. But no, let's do it darker in the end, or in the center here, because that's always a good idea. But like I said, they're, the decorating part and the filling in, the shading, that is always up to you and your creativity. I like to give options because I'm one that's like, I don't know what to do, please tell me what to do, so therefore that's why I'm doing that. Okay, so that's interesting, and we'll just fill those little, just because I'm feeling like it needs it. We'll just do it with some graphite. And by the way, if you want to fill in with the graphite, you can just kind of scribble it in, because you see how nice it spreads out when you use the tortillon. You don't necessarily have to use a lot. You can always go back and add more, but it makes it so nice and smooth. It's interesting. And you know what? Let's see. Just because I'm looking at it going, I'm not digging this right now. Let's make it better. Let's put some fancy fescues in. We're calling them fancy fescues because that's what we're just decided to call them. Because this part is a little elongated. It's like the center of the Tangle Opus by Zentangle. I think there's some other ones where they use that, because usually a fescue is more like this, where it's just, it's a curved line and it has just like a little ball on the end. Maybe just one on one side. I don't know. I don't want to take up too much time on that, but I really need it to, sometimes it's just, if you have an idea, just go for it. Because what we want to do is play and be happy with what we have done. Yeah, you know what? And those just make everything happy. So there we go. All right, 4 options, 1 beautiful tangle, and how fun. How fun. All right. If you enjoyed the video, would love to have a thumbs up or a like, and feel free to share it. And if you've not subscribed to the channel yet, I would love it if you would be a subscriber to the channel. Of course, that's free. And if you are interested in online classes, I do offer them. I have both free and paid, and the information is on my website. That link is in the description section below the step outs. Also, other ways to connect with me. You can connect with me via the website. We do have a really nice Facebook group if you want to join us there, and we just share all of the fun work that we do, and it's a really great time. So with that, thanks so much for watching, and I wish you happy tangling.